Joe DeVietta. The band is in its 24th concert year. We are made up of alumni and former faculty and former students, their families and friends of the Forest Hills School District, or in some of our cases, its predecessors. The band would like to take this opportunity to thank Joe for stepping forward at the end of our 2011 spring season when Chuck Cannon announced his retirement. Chuck's here tonight. Wave, Chuck. Another important person out here in the audience is Bob Miller. He's played trumpet with us. He's a member of the congregation here. Bob, wave your hand. Thanks for having us here. We really appreciate Joe's efforts to keep our organization vibrant, and we know you will like the program he has arranged as much as we enjoyed preparing it. Thank you, Joe. Joe begins our program with a well-known Paso Doble by Spanish composer Jose Padilla. Paso Doble means double step and is a type of Spanish march that is performed in bullfights, usually when participants enter the arena. Robert Longfield arranged Padilla's enchanting Spanish chorus for us, to which we say ole as we play El Relicario. Music staged at the Kingston Mines Theater in the Old Town section of Chicago that was reworked with additional collaboration and refinements to open as an off-Broadway musical in downtown Manhattan in early 1972. Excellent reviews and brisk box office business prompted the producers to move it to Broadway 4 months later. The film version was released in 1978. Based on the name of the 1950s working class youth subculture known as the Greasers, and set in 1959, fictional Rydell High in Chicago. The plot focuses on the romance between high schoolers Danny Zuko and Sandy Dombrowski, and tackles such social issues as teenage pregnancy and gang violence. Its themes include love, friendship, teenage rebellion, sexual exploration during adolescence, and to some extent, class consciousness and class conflict. The show's score celebrates 50s rock and roll, as well as doo-wop and other contemporary styles. Paul Murtha has arranged Warm to Hand Jive, We Go Together, Summer Nights, and Grease Lightning for Joe's next selection, highlights from Grease. Not only your entertainment, but for our own enjoyment. We're also fortunate to have an extraordinary group of directors within the musician ranks, several of whom we will feature tonight. The first of these director musicians is Bob Billings from our horn section. While serving with the U.S. Army and assigned as chief of the Scandinavian Desk of Military Intelligence in Washington, Leroy Anderson had been invited by Arthur Fiedler to guest conduct the Boston Popular Orchestra known as the Boston Pops during their annual Harvard night. Anderson wanted to introduce a new work to Fiedler and composed a song about a clock with a syncopated rhythm. The idea of this title reportedly occurred to him before he wrote the music. In a few hours, he composed the music, scored it for orchestra, and then mailed it to Symphony Hall in Boston. Fiedler had the orchestra parts copied from the score. Then, with a 3-day pass, Anderson traveled from his home in Arlington, Virginia to Boston, where he conducted the premiere on May 28, 1945. Anderson recorded the work for Decca Records during 1950 with the best musicians selected from various New York orchestras. We will play this for you now. It's composed and arranged by Leroy Anderson, The Syncopated Clock, as directed by our master of syncopation, Bob Billings. Section. Although he is versatile on many instruments, Tom Nagy is with the musical department of the Central Caramia School District. He will present a composition where Jerry Billick paints for us a musical picture of the United States through the last half of the 19th century. We enter with upbeat tunes of the pre-Civil War period. The conflict comes in from a distance, becoming signified by songs of rallying, meditation, marching, and tumult. A Hofwehr closes the number that is titled American Civil War Fantasy. The musical world lost a great artist in 1994. Born in Ohio and raised in El Equipa near Pittsburgh, Henry Mancini provided numerous compositions for movies and television. Jerry Brubaker arranged a good cross-section of these compositions, featuring Mr. Lucky, Baby Elephant Walk, The Pink Panther, and Peter Gunn in this next medley, Mancini Magic, as led by Amy Nepper from from our trumpet section. Alan Menken has produced several scores in association with Disney Studios over the last number of years. One of the earlier movies Menken scored recreated the tale of a spell that transformed a young man into a hideous monster, only to be returned to normal when learning the meaning of inner beauty. This movie had several notable voices behind the characters. Among them, Angela Lansbury, the famed Murder, She Wrote star, who played Mrs. Potts, and Jerry Orbach, who played Lumiere. Calvin Custer arranged Menken's work for our next selection that features tunes from this animated classic, including Belle, Gaston, Something There, Be Our Guest, and the title song Beauty and the Beast, directed by Matt Oldham from our tuba section. The Romance of Italy beckons as we play the following Italian selections as arranged by Robert Longfield. The first tune is Vesti Fagioli, which means put on a costume. The second is Funiculi Funicula, composed by Luigi Denza to commemorate the opening of the first funicular cable car on Mount Vesuvius. The third is Torna a Sorrento, loosely translated as Come Back to Sorrento, by Ernesto de Curtis. The fourth is La Donna Immobile, which means a woman is fickle, from Giuseppe Verdi's Rigoletto. The fifth is Tarantella, which is traditional Italian folk dance with an interesting history. The stated belief in the 16th and 17th centuries was that victims needed to engage in a frenzied dancing to prevent death from a tarantula, using a very rhythmic and fast music. This particular type of dance and the music played became known as the tarantella. Lastly is the well-known O Solo Mio, meaning O My Son, by Eduardo de Capua, all combined in Italian holiday, led by the frenzied trumpeter, Frank McLeister. And Chuck, this was for you. Frank's next choice is a jukebox musical, originally by Bob Guadio, with lyrics by Bob Crew. The book by Marshall Brickman and Rick Elise was a documentary-style musical based on one of the most successful 1960s rock and roll groups, the Four Seasons. The musical opened on Broadway in 2005 and has since had a North American national tour, along with productions in London's West End, Las Vegas, Chicago, Toronto, Melbourne, Sydney, and Philadelphia. Jersey Boys won 4 2006 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. Bob Crew, Bob Guadio, and Judy Parker wrote the original scores, and Michael Brown has arranged Walk Like a Man, Big Girls Don't Cry, Rag Doll, December 1963, and Can't Take My Eyes Off of You into highlights from Jersey Boys. Josef Franz Wagner was an Austrian military bandmaster and composer. He is sometimes referred to as the Austrian March King. He is best known for his 1902 march that referred to the double eagle in the coat of arms of Austria-Hungary. The march became a favorite part of the repertoire of American composer and bandleader John Philip Sousa, whose band recorded it 3 times. The piece was the official regimental march of the Austrian Artillery Regiment No. 2 until its dissolution in 2007. Andrew Bailey has arranged Wagner's march in our next number, Unter dem Doppelgänger, or Under the Double Eagle. Joe has a few comments about his past history on this number. The duo Sidney Penditzer playing the baritone saxophone and Jared Mucker on bass clarinet, a number usually played by the tubas, but these two are a match for any of those big, bad brasses. Sidney and Jared present Graham Hall's Baseman's Holiday. Arthur Pryor was a trombone virtuoso, band leader, and soloist with the John Philip Sousa Band. In 1905, he composed a memorable work that features a piccolo solo. Tonight, Becky Schrock will present Chris Sharp's arrangement of Arthur Pryor as a whistler and his dog. Larry Clark and Greg Gilman have created a superb work that we will now perform, featuring the works of the different branches of the military. The Army's The Caisson Song, composed by Edmund L. Gruber. The Marines' Hymn. The Navy's Anchors Away, composed by Charles A. Zimmerman and Alfred H. Miles. The Coast Guard Semper Paratus, meaning always ready, composed by Francis Saltus van Losker, and the U.S. Air Force, composed by Crawford. Also featured is America the Beautiful and the Star Spangled Banner. This week we celebrated Memorial Day. In the spirit of Memorial Day, we would like to dedicate this number to the veterans here tonight. Would those folks who are in our armed forces please stand at this time? Let's all give them a hand. We will remember in particular tonight Tom Bodenshots, a good friend of many in the band and in the community. Among his many other accomplishments, Tom was also a Vietnam War veteran. So to him and all the veterans who just stood, we dedicate this number. We'd like to thank again Bob Miller and his church for having us in tonight. We also want to thank First National Bank, who made a contribution to make this possible. Many of you know about the Captain and Tennille, husband and wife, Captain Darrell Dragon and Catherine Antoinette Tony Tennille, American pop music recording artists who achieved chart success as a recording duo and were previously well known as backup musicians for Elton John and Neil Sedaka, Darrell also having been the keyboardist for the Beach Boys. What you may not know is that Darrell is the son of composer Carmen Dragon. Carmen was an American conductor, composer, and arranger who, in addition to live performances and recording, worked in radio, film, and television. He made a popular orchestral arrangement of America the Beautiful, and also rearranged it for symphonic band, which is our next number. Carmen Dragon's arrangement of Samuel Augustus Ward's America the Beautiful.